So welcome back to Decoy Noise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist, where I'm going to cover, am I the antagonist for telling my brother that he's unlovable? So, in a very special episode of Furloughed Decoy Noise, I'm officially out of work right now. I'm going to be giving myself a new tattoo every single day. I'm going to let my hair kind of grow out into a terrible curly mess and let my beard get as patchy as possible. So, if you want to see me descend into madness, make sure you subscribe down below and let me know in the comments what subscriber number you are. It really helps me kind of track my growth, and especially since I'm out of work for the time being, I'll drop 2 videos a day, so I want to see how that's helping my growth. But let's just get into this one, because this one's actually more interesting than the other stuff I usually cover. So, background information. I'm a 22-year-old female, and I have an elder brother, 24-year-old male. He's not a nice person. My parents had always coddled him, and he's the only son of the family, and this caused him to become a very cantankerous, entitled, judgmental, and he has a very negative opinion of women in general. Okay. He has been single for a very long time and desperate for relationships, so he asked me to set him up with one of my friends. The friend I set him up with, let's call her Nairobi, is a very sweet, beautiful girl who's a passionate artist, and this was in early March. They went on a date, and my friend liked him, and he liked her too, apparently. Okay. Fast forward to yesterday, my brother storms into my room and starts ranting about all the women are shallow and all they want is hot rich guys, that no one dates him because he's neither. I was confused, so I asked him what happened. He said that Nairobi had stopped texting him and was ghosting him for about a week. This seemed odd to me, as she told me that she liked him. I told him to calm down and that I would ask Nairobi what's wrong. I texted her yesterday night and politely asked if she wasn't interested in my brother anymore. She sent me a couple screenshots of their conversations, and my brother was horrible to her. He constantly mocked her hobby and tried to downplay it and was just as rude and creepy in general. Oh, okay. Today morning, I decided to confront him and tell him that he can't treat people like this, and he should learn to be more empathetic towards people. He was offended and kept shouting on how women and their shallow natures. This really irked me, as my mother and I always looked out for him, and he has some wonderful women in his life. So I told him that if you can't respect other people's passions or learn to be respectful towards them, how can you expect to be loved or even liked by them? You're making yourself unlovable on purpose when you easily can change your behavior. Yeah, he didn't like that and marched off into his room and locked himself up. I left him alone. In the evening, I was suddenly bombarded with calls from my mother and texts from my dad. Apparently, my brother was really hurt about what I said and wanted me to apologize. My parents are both mad at me for treating my brother that way, and so is he. They said I was way too harsh and that comment was unnecessary. Am I the antagonist for telling my brother that he won't be liked by anyone if he continues this disgusting behavior? Okay, so in normal fashion, we're going to go to decoy court right now, and we're going to kind of see what my knee-jerk reaction before we read the edit right now. And to me, this was a long time coming. I think that she probably needed some, sisterly love, where who else is going to give him the harsh reality that he's basically one of those people that, like, you know, all the memes are about, or not a neckbeard. I forgot the other word, but he's basically one of those guys that it's just like he's blaming all his problems that are made by himself on other people. It's like, oh, these girls just want rich, hot guys. Okay, well, maybe you can work to try to become more wealthy. Maybe not as rich as you'd like to be, but you could work towards that, and becoming more hot is subjective. So, I mean, whatever you can do, just work harder at doing that thing. And then all of a sudden, because he's not where he wants to be, he's going to blame it on the girls that he interacts with is ridiculous. And just the idea that the only person that could probably get to him is the sister, and she did it finally. Maybe it was a little bit harsh, but he was like trying to blame it on her. So it was probably the perfect opportunity for her to teach him a lesson about what he's doing. And then instead of him learning the lesson, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Mom, Dad, fix this for me. Everybody's got to fix this for me, which he kind of even referenced to earlier in the story about how the parents have kind of made him like that. But I mean, let's read the edit and then we'll kind of figure out what's going on after that. So edit. Showed my parents the texts. They still want me to apologize because I made him feel unloved and not enough. They said I was giving him ideas that he isn't enough the way he is. Not really surprised, to be honest. Yeah, he isn't enough the way he is. He needs a change. That was the point. They're missing it. Edit. Here are the screenshots. My friend is comfortable with me sharing them as long as I don't reveal her name or anything about her, which I am not. So I guess we should look at the screenshots. If my thing would actually click and actually let me, okay, whatever. I guess my browser won't let me get them. Okay. So actually it will. So don't, whatever, it's not working. Okay, edit. So I did not lie to my friend. I told her exactly what kind of man he was, and he just she still decided to date him. I didn't force her, I didn't cajole her, I didn't warn her, thanks. In the next edit, they went on a date and my friend liked him and he liked her too. Apparently, are people ignoring this line on purpose? Yeah, everybody's probably just yelling at her. And then, okay, so everybody's just kind of... I'll just read the rest of this right now then. Every "you're the antagonist" judgment is because I set them up. You people have to realize they had went on a date already. She liked him. Please understand this. It's terrible to be labeled as a bad friend because some people lack basic comprehension skills. And here's the thing though is, she's not really taking the feedback that she's the antagonist. Maybe she is the antagonist and we're going to find some good points down below that she is, but she can't hear it and she's like, look, you lack comprehension skills. I'm not the antagonist getting all mad about that. But I mean... let's not jump to conclusions, even though that's all my channel's about is jumping to conclusions. But I mean, drop your, before we go down to the bottom, before we go to the bottom and read the top comments and some controversial comments, which is always the more fun comments to read, make sure you drop your comments, like pause the video and let me know what your knee-jerk reaction is, because I do want to have a section of the decoy koi voice, which is very hard to say, but I want to read the replies of everybody that is a decoy koi subscriber, what you guys are thinking down below. But I mean, let's just get into the top comments to see. And the problem right here is something got removed by the moderator and I don't know how to bring it back. But let's see what the other person added on to this top comment is. Hijacking an ad. OP, if you want your brother to ever change, you need to stand your ground on this. If you apologize, that'll just likely be confirmation to him that his disgusting behavior is fine and that all women are shallow. You are under no obligation to help your brother in any way, but it sounds like you care about him. And if you want him to change, this has to be the hill you die on. That actually is very well said. Like, I was kind of the same adage that I was thinking of as well, but it is the hill that she has to die on. She has to stick to her guns in the sense of, if she backs down, she's just going to confirm that he's right and like, oh, girls are toxic. See, I had to get my parents, I had to set her right or whatever. So, I mean, let's kind of read on right now. And the next reply is, I want to butt in as well. That should just be 1T, but okay. He sounds like someone who has at least a potential to be very abusive. Mocking and belittling are big signs in my opinion. Also, he tried to play the victim of her shallow attitude to you. Clumsy, but his goal is the same of abusive men who have this one nailed. Giving him an idea how bad his behavior may give him a chance to change. It is better to have hurt him by saying the truth by continuing to coddle him. You know what? I really want to take a look at the at those text messages. I wonder if I can pull those up finally. Okay, cool. Wait. Okay, so there are a bit of the text messages or whatever, like, here. So I guess we can kind of read. She says, does it pay a lot? I do it because I don't like it. That creative stuff doesn't fly with me much. So he's saying that her art is useless. And then I guess she's into art and he's just belittling it or whatever. And then now he's just being over, okay, so he's being kind of creepy and perverted, and then he's also being racist. Jesus. Yeah, so maybe when they met, and then he's rude to her, and then he's like, why are you wasting my time? You're leading me on. Oh my God, I shouldn't have paid for that meal. Okay, so now that we kind of have a better illustration as to how he really is, that guy's, he might have been attractive in the sense that he was like charming and everything, so that first date went well, but then once they started texting, he's racist. He kind of belittles her career choices and her interest. He's like a creeper or whatever. So I mean, it makes sense that like this is his fault. This is all his fault. Like he's a terrible person in my opinion. But I mean, let's read some other top comments and get to the controversial comments, because this one is I wonder who's saying that she's the asshole. So the next post is, not the antagonist. I think there's an important distinction between you're making yourself unlovable and you are unlovable. Very true. You're not saying that he's fundamentally, immutably flawed and has no chance. You're saying that he's making choices that damage external perspectives of him and which he can change. Well said. Better said than anybody else. And the next reply to that was, this is really important. OP never said that he would never be loved because he sucked. She clearly said it was his behavior was disgusting and that it was a reason he was single. Plus, what she said clearly implied that he could change. Definitely not the antagonist here. Yeah, she just kept like, you're pushing people away. Like, we don't see the text messages between the two of them, but I mean, she's probably not the antagonist. But let's read one more top comment. Not the antagonist. You were honest with your brother. That's all. Sorry. You're honest with your brother, that's all. Your parents aren't going to be able to guilt some girl into coddling your brother the way they try to do with you. Oh my god, that's mic drop right there. Your parents aren't going to be able to guilt a girl into coddling your brother the way they try to do with you. They're not doing him any favors, but let's read on. So unless he grows up and actually develops a personality that isn't based on being crappy to women, he's going to have to get used to rejection. You can give a half-assed apology that'll set your folks off your back, but I would decline any request to set him up with any of your friends in the future. This is his problem to deal with. And honestly, I'm a big fan of the tough love. Like, maybe she shouldn't apologize. Like, okay, yeah, you guys, like, you know, put it back on the parents. Like, you guys aren't doing him any favors. You're going to screw his whole life up if you're just going to enable him to be this crappy of a person. So, I mean, before I get to the controversial comments, I guess I can kind of dip in my own story or whatever, where I had a guy friend. I don't want to blast his information out there at all, but I had a guy friend that just wasn't doing well with like girls or whatever, and it had to be the thing where I had to finally sit him down and being like, yeah, I understand you have like a standard of woman that you like to approach and you want to be with them or whatever, but like, what do you provide them in return? Like, you get very frustrated when the girls aren't interested in you, but then when you're interacting with them, like, what do you have to offer? Like, you know, I hate to be shallow, but it's like, you know, you're not really taking care of yourself. You really don't have any other interests other than, like, you know, recreational drugs. And then you don't really have, like, you know, your career. You haven't gone far in your, like, your career path or aspirations. I don't know the best way to put it. So it's like, you know, for lack of a better word, to not be harsh, I'm like, on the surface level, you're kind of being a loser, and you expect these like model-esque women that have, like, you know, interesting jobs, great friend groups, and, like, you know, have all these cool like creative outlets and hobbies or whatever, and like, what you really provide nothing in return. I said a big contradiction. I'm not trying to like pile on him and out him and make him feel like a bad person, but here we go. Let me do exactly that or whatever. So I'm not a perfect commentator, but it's the idea that, you know, whether that speech to him helped him or not, because obviously his knee-jerk reaction is like, you're being an asshole, you don't understand what it is to be me, whatever. But I'm like, hey man, I'm your friend, I've been around for a long time. If anybody's gonna tell you this harsh truth right now, it's gotta be me, because it's never gonna be anybody else. And if it was some online stranger that told you that, you probably wouldn't listen. You'd say they're a hater or whatever. So as a person that like really cares about you, I'm trying to let you know this is the reality. And, you know, maybe I'm an antagonist too, but let's read some controversial comments, because they are calling her the antagonist. So the top controversial comment was, you're the antagonist for setting your friend up with your brother despite knowing his history of narcissism and misogyny. See, that's just someone that just skimmed over the story and gave their knee-jerk reply, and then she just says no. Hopefully I can get that post. Okay, and then the next reply to that was, accept the judgment and move on. This comment doesn't require a yes or no answer. You're not the antagonist, but if your friend is so nice, you're a jerk for setting her up with your brother. And here's the thing is, I experience this a lot with my channel, where oftentimes people will just kind of either like, they read the title, they read some of the story, then they're already typing out their like story, their reply or whatever. And I understand in some capacity I'm doing the same thing too, where I want to read the story, then edit secondary or whatever, but that's just part of what this channel is as a commentary channel. But the idea that this right here is just someone that clearly didn't read the whole thing or whatever. She says, despite knowing he has a history of narcissism and misogyny or whatever, it's just like, did she know about that? Because I don't think that she saw any of those text messages before this little hookup or whatever. But I mean, let's read the next controversial reply. So, you're the antagonist, not for what you said to your brother, which was both accurate and deserved, but because despite knowing what a jerk he is, you set him up with a friend. Why would you do that to somebody? And then someone says, I agree with this one poor friend. And then OP came back and just said no. Okay, so you know what? So maybe, and then that's all she does. There's several posts where she just replies saying the word no to it. So maybe there's another aspect to this story right now that we're just not getting, because she doesn't take, I don't want to say feedback well, but she doesn't take, like, I don't know. I guess I'm reaching if I want anything. So there's one that has -5 points, and it's the same thing. You're the antagonist for setting your friend up with her. So why would you do that to her? So, I mean, obviously, I'm more interested in the replies of the decoy Corey. So make sure you drop your comment down below, because I do read that. Now, I think I will set up like a video, probably the end of maybe every Sunday or whatever, just to kind of like just do replies, because it was kind of confusing when I did 2 separate videos, or 2 separate topics in one video. I kind of even confused myself, and I'm the one that made the video. So if you made it this far in the video, make sure you subscribe down below, and you let me know what subscriber count you are. You check out that video over there, but also let me know how you feel like this whole furlough decoy noise, where I have more time to kind of do this. You liking the bummy look or whatever, and also if how you like 2 videos in a day. Is that something that works out for you or not? Just let me know. Let's have a conversation.